We are good to get started, I think. Why don't you hop on to the next slide? Actually, I'm gonna preface this with what you're not supposed to do as a speaker, and I'm going to apologize up front. But because National kind of plopped a meeting on top of ours and pushed ours back an hour, that pushed me into a previously planned family engagement. So I've only got about 15 or 20 minutes on the call here. So I'm going to zip through my stuff and then hand it off to Brandon and Ciara and others to finish it off. But here on this page, we've got our leadership. And my name is Rick Kennedy. I am the state chair of the Texas Forward Party. That's me about 8 years ago. So I probably need to update that. Becky, I believe, is on board. She is our state treasurer, also our Fort Bend County chair. And Brandon is, of course, hosting, and he is our state secretary and is in Travis County, but he's not our Travis County chair. Emily Hayworth down there, the last row in the middle, is our Travis County chair. And you can see the other county chairs that we've got in place at the moment. So if you live in a place that you don't see a county chair there, like Dallas County, for instance, by all means, if you want to step up and volunteer to be a county chair, by all means, ping me whenever you get a chance. So a big old thank you, of course, to everybody for coming out tonight. A big old thank you for everybody who has been with us in this endeavor for the last 3 to 6 years, if you go all the way back to the SAM phase of things. And thank you all for any first timers who are here as well and who are interested in what we're trying to get done and potentially engaging with us going forward. So if this is your first time, we are the Texas Forward Party. We are the official Texas affiliate of the National Forward Party. And we believe that everyday Americans should be able to decide what's best for them and their communities. And that's why we're building a party that puts the power back in the hands of the voters. And we're a value-based party, of course. But what we mean by slow down, Brandon, slow down, man. I got 15 minutes. I got to fill it, right? When we want to put the power back in the hands of the American voter, the simple fact is that because of gerrymandering, because of the duopoly that's in place, because of the oligarchy-fed duopoly that's in place or supported duopoly that's in place, literally millions and millions of voters go to the polls every November. And in fact, they are disenfranchised. And we're trying to work through the process of undoing that and putting the power back in the hands of the voters, giving them more options on the ballot so that they are not forced into what quite often is a selection of, I won't say the lesser of two evils, but more the lesser of two undesirables, shall we say. They probably would want something else on the ballot. So now you can proceed, please. So tonight's agenda, if you've been with us again throughout this year, we talked about what we tried to accomplish, what we wanted to accomplish in 2025. We'll talk a little bit about what we did and did not do. Looking ahead to 2026, what that means, riding our wins and getting ready, and any New Year's resolutions that we want to share or you guys want to share. So let's dive into what we know about 2025. And since there's only 15 days left, we should know a lot. Go ahead. So the vision is the same. The strategic objective is the same. We want to form a wedge, if you will, in the Texas state legislature. We want a number of seats in the Texas state legislature that are either forward party, official forward party members, or aligned with the forward party values and priorities. And the reason we want this wedge is to deny both the Republicans and the Democrats the majority so that they have to come to us or those forward aligned legislators to get anything done. And the whole impetus there is to provide a moderating force in the Texas state legislature. So the road to get there, we've talked a lot in the last several months. If you've been here, we've talked a lot about the barriers to ballot access that the legacy parties have put up, how Texas is one of the hardest states to gain official party ballot access. And over the last several months, we've tried to do an end run around those barriers, and we're succeeding to a certain extent. Um, but the road to get to where we want to be doesn't start with party ballot access. Party ballot access is going to be a step along the way. So the first step is not necessarily hinged on gaining ballot access, which is good because it's really hard in Texas. Go ahead, Brendan. So, again, if you've been with us for the last several months, we've been talking about getting 2 or 3 people to run as forward party candidates at the state level. And the whole idea behind that was, if you have statewide candidates and if you can overcome the barriers to get those candidates actually on the ballot, which means you got to gather 81,000 signatures starting in March for a 75-day period, et cetera, to get those candidates on the ballot in November. And one of those candidates gains 2% of the vote, then the party is on the ballot for the next 10 years. So it was a bit of a Hail Mary looking for a touchdown. And as it turned out, by the time the filing period closed on December 8th, despite coming close with a couple of candidates, in the week leading up to that deadline, we got a lot of new data. We got some new opportunities telling us that the path to that vision, again, this wedge in the state legislature and subsequently ballot access, doesn't start by gaining ballot access, but rather starts by riding the wave of energy behind endorsing a slate of candidates in the 2026 election. And those candidates could be independents. Those candidates could be Republicans. They could be Democrats, as long as they are aligned with forward party priorities and values. Then we would consider endorsing those candidates and supporting them materially on their effort to win elected office. So the timeline now looks like this. We don't have candidates on the ballot for statewide, but we are looking at a bunch, it's a technical term, more than a few independents who are running for various offices that we can endorse and materially support in their runs. So as we get into the new year, the primaries are on March 3rd of this year. And we're looking at issuing a series of pre-primary endorsements. And these are going to be endorsements for independent candidates, not necessarily Republicans or Democrats. But again, we're open to those, but we haven't found them yet. And the whole pre-primary endorsement objective is to, again, begin to establish the slate of independent candidates that we are supporting going forward. And we hope we'll eventually be able to attend our party convention in April, speak at our party convention, speak at other events along the way, basically give them a long runway to get to the November election. Along the way on that runway is after March 3rd, these independents need to start gathering signatures to get themselves on the ballot. The way the process works in Texas is in November or December, if you want to run as an independent, you have to file your intention with the state Secretary of State that you're going to do so. And then after the primary, you have to start gathering signatures to get you on the ballot as an independent. And for most of those offices, that's 500 signatures. Sounds fairly easy. It actually is fairly easy, but we certainly want to provide the support, the boots on the ground, to support those independents in their effort to get those 500 signatures. Then we're going to have, yep.
Can I correct you on one thing, Rick?
Sure.
If the primary has a runoff, and the independent is restricted until May 27th, and that's when it gets fun.
That's when you need to cram 500 signatures into a relatively short period of time, and it can be done. We had a candidate in 24 who ran as an independent, and Her race went to a runoff, but she still managed to gather the 500 signatures. But, again, it's just a bit more challenging. So the more support we have for those candidates on the ground, the better off that candidate is going to be. We're going to have our party convention, statewide convention, on April 10th, the weekend of April 10th and 11th. And we hope some of these endorsed candidates will join us at that convention, be able to speak to all the people at that convention. And then, of course, once the primary is over, and in some cases, once the runoff is over, we'll continue to issue endorsements to either independent candidates, Republicans or Democrats, again, if they're aligned with our values and our priorities, and do everything we can to get out the vote and help them win their November elections. So it's going to be an action-packed year, to say the least. We had one candidate in 2026, and go to the next slide, if you will, Brandon. Is the next slide? Yeah, it starts to talk about numbers. Pre-primary endorsements, we're looking at 2 to 3 state and federal candidates, as well as a number of down ballot local candidates. So there are quite a few candidates in our recruitment pipeline who want to run for either a city council seat or a school board seat. And those elections happen in either May or November. They're nonpartisan elections, but the filing period is either in January or in July/August for those seats. So those folks haven't even filed yet, but we'll be looking at all those folks for all the folks down ballot to support in both the May elections and the November elections. And then post-primary, after the March primary, we'll be looking at 4 or 5 more state and federal candidates to endorse, and of course a whole lot more down ballot and local candidates to support in the November election. There are 18 independents that have filed at this point for federal and state that have not approached us preliminarily. Some folks have, some folks have not. So we'll be reaching out to all those 18 candidates and to see if they want and or need our support in their run. So again, down ballot candidates, these nonpartisan elections for school board or city council, looking for our endorsement, our support. We expect 4 to 6 in the spring, 6 to 10 additional in the fall. State House and State Senate candidates, we're looking at 4 to 5. And U.S. Congress, we're looking at 2 to 3 candidates that we can support and endorse and support going into their run in November. And again, if more come out, if more seek our endorsement, we'll certainly entertain it. But we want to be cognizant of the resources that we can actually put on the ground for these folks, and make sure that we've got the organization in place to materially benefit their campaigns. And when I say the word organization, I'm going off script here, Brandon. I apologize. When I say the word organization, 2026 is going to be an organization-heavy year. We've got to get our counties organized down to the precinct level, and that's something that we have not been able to do yet. But it's going to be a huge emphasis, because what does a candidate need going into their election? They need 2 things. They need a brand, right? And the Forward Party gives them a brand, but they also need boots on the ground. And boots on the ground means county chairs, precinct chairs, block captains, neighborhood captains, etc. These are the folks who actually directly interact with voters, who will actually be out gathering signatures, who will actually be calling people, getting the vote out when it comes time, be it a May election or a November election. So there's going to be a heavy emphasis in 2026 to get that infrastructure in place in support of these candidates. And we hope it's mutually beneficial. The presence of candidates will catalyze the recruitment of precinct and block captains, and precinct and block captains will be able to encourage and help our candidates as we move forward. Okay, I'm going to get back on script now, Brandon. And again, the focus is going to be getting some of these Texas-supported candidates on the Forward Party electeds board. What we've got there is a snip of our electeds in 2025, and they span a variety of states. They span a variety of affiliations. Some of them are actually Republicans, some of them are Democrats, some of them are independents. And I want to point out that South Carolina, we elected a mayor in a partisan election in South Carolina. This was a Forward Party candidate because in South Carolina, ballot access is significantly easier than it is in many other states. So we've got ballot access in South Carolina and we're winning elections. And these electeds, I think, I can't remember the number. I want to say they constitute something like 23% of our endorsed candidates in 2025.
In November, I think when you calculate it was like just under 30% almost.
Just under 30%. Okay. Yeah. That's a big win ratio, right? For a set of candidates who are not mainstream either in the legacy parties or outright independent. That is a huge win ratio for us. So for the national party. So again, in states where it's a bit easier, and Colorado, North Carolina, Connecticut, Pennsylvania, etc. They're making a bit more forward progress than we are, but our objective in 2026 is to get our people on that board as well here in the state of Texas. Because if you can gain traction in Texas, you can gain traction anywhere. Okay, next slide. And I want to recognize, and I'm going to eventually hand it off to after I get done praising her. I want to recognize Ciara Perez down in Brownsville in Cameron County. When we talked about some of the folks who stepped up to potentially run for statewide office, Ciara was one of them. It takes a good deal of chutzpah to even venture into that realm, and she was ready to go. And again, a lot of other data compelled us to jointly, collectively make a decision to go in another direction. But in the spirit of forward, of course, she's now poised to explore a local run to grow our reach further in South Texas. And expand our brand awareness, expand our candidate pool, and expand our presence down in the valley. So with that, Ciara, I will hand it off to you, and I will go on mute and hang on for just a couple of minutes because that's what I've got. Go ahead, Ciara.
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much. I actually want to say thank you to you, Rick. The process of prepping for a campaign and figuring out what I'm supposed to do, and Brandon as well, like both of y'all were amazingly helpful. I felt like I was in the sea, not knowing how to swim, but y'all made it very easy to figure out what am I supposed to do, what's next, and connecting me with people who have kind of run before. Like that was very, very helpful. And even I do want to share, I was on a call 2 hours ago with the volunteers for national, and there was somebody that came on from New York and was like, I don't know what I'm doing. This is what I have. How do I do this next step? And I was able to actually chime in and say, hey, I was getting ready to do that. So here's the information that I got. And so it was really nice to be able to see and realize how just amazing y'all are in terms of backing the people. So whenever we're ready to take that step for state and even with local, I'm so excited that and thankful that y'all are behind us 100%. So I want to thank y'all, and I'm excited to see what 2026 brings.
All right, y'all. Debbie's got her hand up, but I've got to drop. Brandon, make sure people know how to get me on email if they have questions. I usually stay for question and answer, but I'm unable tonight. So, well, there it is. Rick Kennedy at TexasForwardParty.org. If you have questions for me, by all means, go ahead and drop me a note. And of course, if you're interested in running for office, and this is still open, the December 8th December 8th deadline was only for state offices.
No.
Ah,
Well, okay, for state office, yeah, you're right. No, it's for state. Local offices
Right.
can still file.
If
Yeah,
you're going to run for a local office, whether it's school board or city council, whether it's a May or November election, your window to file is either in January or in July/August.
yeah,
Okay,
state and federal is closed.
State and federal is closed, right? Exactly. Okay, got to drop. I want to thank you all again. Thank you, Ciara. Thank you, Brenda, for carrying on. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you next time.
Thanks, Rick.
Thank you so much, Rick.
Yep. Bye.
All right. Hi, everyone. Brandon, David, and Rick mentioned me. You saw my photo at the start. I will warn you, I've got some unruly youngins that might pop in here, so we might get some holiday entertainment with them. But I did just want to take a couple minutes before we open up the floor and do some Q&A and talk about some New Year's resolutions to cover a few things that we've accomplished, a few wins, where we can build from some of the things that we both learned and we accomplished. And I will also preface this that this is not the full slate of everything we did in 2025, but I did just want to make a nod and acknowledge some of the work that we've done. And since I do like a good history documentary, I will try not to dwell too much on the past and really get us to be quick and talk about what's coming up soon around the corner. So some cool things to build from, some numbers. Our website traffic this year, almost at 300% year over year. And we do have 15 days left for the year. So I'm crossing my fingers that we can pass the 300% year to year threshold. And even our unique visits were up significantly. So this is impressive. So kudos to those that have worked on the website, to those that are on the technology team that did early on comms, and then some of the content that has been created. This has really helped. And taking this into consideration, we're in a off-cycle election year. So, when there's candidates and when there's things going on, that can drive a lot more momentum. We also, for hosting events, we're almost at 3 times more events this year than we did last year. And then if we do fall compared to last fall, we're something like 5 or 6 times more events than we've done in the past. Also, peak traffic days when we have 3 to 4 times more traffic than on average. 3 of those 5 days were when we kicked off the Taste of Texas ranked choice voting campaign. So just an acknowledgement to those that have helped and also pushed that and shared it with their friends. And then finally, I think the number's probably a little bit higher than this, but we had at least 37 Texans submit or say they're interested in running for office. And our candidate operations team really gelled here in the last 3 months to make sure that we connect. For anyone that has flagged run for office here in the last couple of weeks, we will get to you. It's just been, we've been pretty busy kind of wrapping up the state and federal campaign. But again, you can reach out to Rick, you can reach out to me at any time. And then one more, again, maybe big numbers may seem somewhat trivial, but we have covered 106 counties already in our Counties Across Texas campaign. And we have 148 more to go. Now, this may seem a little bit, like, hey, this is a puff piece on travel and activities, but in each write-up, we feature the forward party values and what it means to the uniqueness of that county, whether it's local issues or things that make that county different than another. And it has really helped to show that variation across Texas. And Texas is a big place. And I think as we continue to move forward, we're almost at the halfway point. But again, this is a great accomplishment, and the team has delivered this on time each day for the 2 months that we've been doing it so far. So those are some good accomplishments coming soon. Up next for 2026, I'm really excited about the continuation of some of these campaigns that are online. Now, again, a little bit less around policy issue candidates, but outreach and starting to connect to maybe disenfranchised voters or people that don't understand some of our platform or some of our beliefs. But the Taste of Texas campaign is going to be the holiday drink edition starting here on Thursday. Again, easy way to introduce to friends and colleagues what it means to do something about electoral reform, how to get to consensus, how to introduce them to one of the platform solutions that we would propose potentially as the forward party. Counties across Texas, I already talked about this. But again, we still have until end of February before we wrap up all 254 counties. And if anyone would like to leverage some of the content or share it with friends or use it at an event, you can reach out to the team. And you'll see, like this is, again, a good way to feature what open primaries, ranked choice voting, and some of our principles of lifting up community leaders could mean to some of the counties that sometimes don't get featured because they're not big enough to show up in a traditional dialogue around who matters and which votes count the most. And then one more thing I want to share. This is what outreach can look like this spring. We have different ways that we can do this. But as Rick mentioned, we may have candidates we endorse that may be in a position where their race goes into a runoff. And so their window to collect signatures will be tighter. So having a list of voters in their district, or even like in a wide swath of area that we need to get 500 signatures or even more than that, could be very beneficial to ensuring they get on the ballot. So this would be an example of how some of our teams, via block walks, mailers, outreach, just handing to friends, can make a nod to, hey, we're looking for independent thinkers, be one of the millions of Texans who actually would be excited to lift up independence or community first leaders. We've got a couple variations of these, but this is the type of stuff that we'll need to be doing here in the lead up to the primaries. And then we'll want to be thinking about how we do outreach post primaries to get out the word and then get out the vote. And then finally, save the date. I know I've mentioned this before on a couple other town halls, but we will do a state convention. It's time for us to practice that muscle. It's time for us to go through the steps that a minor party here in Texas is supposed to go through. And even though we won't be nominating state level candidates, there's other business we can do. And we can also lift up our endorsed candidates and have, we'll call them friends of forward, attend the convention and provide support, publicity, and help us move forward along. If you are interested in volunteering or helping out with the convention, you can reach out to us. But more to come on that. Planning will start in January. So,
Brandon, do you have a location for that?
I would say we're about 95% certain we would do it in Austin, but we need to land if that is the final decision, and then we also have to get a vibe for attendance and who would like to come and speak. All right, New Year's resolutions Q&A. So I'm wrapped for now. We do have just over 10 minutes. So I'm going to open up the floor. If anyone has some insights or thoughts that attended the national call right before this, if anyone has questions, or if someone wants to share a forward party New Year's resolution with us, the floor is open. Mics are hot. We'll try to moderate it, and we'll try to keep it to a minute or less for anyone that's speaking, so that way we can get a few people to share some thoughts. And then I will make a goal to try to wrap up right about on time, which should be 1:45. So here in about 11 minutes. Becky, you have your hand raised.
Yes, I want to remind everyone to donate $26 to the Texas Forward Party in honor of 2026. So go to the website, hit the donate button, and send us $26.
All right.
Thank you.
Becky, I'm going to do that tonight. All right. Yeah, Robert. And Robert, you're on mute. I love your festive background.
In a situation as take for instance a state rep race where somebody's going to run as an independent, they've got to get so many signatures. Will the Ford Party be able to present a list of voters that are more likely to be receptive?
We will we'll have to verify that we don't cross lines as far as supporting an independent versus a Ford Party candidate, but we will, depending on the location, we do have information that would allow us to do some targeted outreach. So I think it would be, it depends on what the situation is, but we would also be able to offer volunteers that could also target, and whether it's door knock or make phone calls on behalf of candidates. And that would, as long as we have an endorsement and we've worked out those terms, we want to avoid sharing email and contact information between parties and things like that. So that would be the one place where that's where we would be sensitive and mindful of not passing people's information around. I don't know if that helps kind of where you're going, Robert. All right, awesome. One thing I heard on the national call that was another way to phrase it, but Kayla had mentioned about how a lot of people are pushing back about we don't need another third party. And I liked her saying where she said, technically, a lot of times the Ford Party is the second party on the ballot because there isn't one of the other primary parties on the ballot. So as we think about going in this year, some of our endorsements and where we can help out candidates, if anyone on the call has ideas, whether it's anecdotal or you have the data, where you think there might be a candidate that could get support from the Forward Party because it's harder for them to win the race because they don't have the right letter behind their name. You think they have and they embody the Forward Party values, by all means, reach out to Rick and myself, and we'd be happy to talk. Yeah, John.
Yeah, on the national call in the comments, and I just happened to catch one, and somebody made a comment, and it was so clever. I thought, I'm going to use that when the time comes.
Okay.
It was voting for the lesser of two evils is still voting for evil.
I used to when people say throw away your votes, I'm like, I feel like I'm throwing away my vote if I'm voting for either of the party. But yeah, I like that, John.
I've been voting for the lesser of two evils before the gray hair.
Most of us have.
Yeah. Other thoughts or questions? I'll just start rambling unless someone has something they want to share. Yeah, William.
My resolution is to be on the ballot in November for the 38th Congressional District in Northwest Houston. Paperwork's filed and we are starting the process. So just want to let y'all know.
We are super excited, William. I love it. And yes, if anyone is in the Houston area, get ready, get excited. We need to up our ground game there. We do have some interest in county chair and maybe even some precinct support. But that will be the Harris County and Houston area is going to be a place that we're going to definitely want to put some time and effort to make sure that we provide support to candidates like Mr. Taggart here.
Yeah, one other thing to throw in, Brandon, is with Mike Collier running as an independent on the statewide level for lieutenant governor, I think that's going to make this year very interesting.
Yeah.
And it's going to be fun.
I think so too. All right, Becky. Becky, you're on mute.
We have the possibility to court the Houston mayor, possibly as an independent, since the Democratic Party is refusing to endorse him anymore.
All right.
So he may find himself a political orphan looking for a new home.
Sounds like you've got yourself a lunch that you need to set up, Becky. That would be great. Yeah. All of these things, Texas is so large. There's so many things going on. And between now and the primaries and then post primaries, I think any bit of data or insight where there is candidates that maybe would be excited by the forward party, we should always consider trying to make outreach to them. If we have a way to talk to them, great. Otherwise, we have to put them on the list and figure out how to connect with them. I did see a question that just popped up. I don't have my chat window on. All right. I do, like, as we're kind of wrapping up the year and getting ready for January, I did want to pass along some additional appreciations and just acknowledge all of our teams and volunteers that have helped out to kind of get us to this place this year. We've had quite a few candidates and even partnerships over the course of the last couple months reach out to us. And I do think the work that the teams have done here in the second half of the year definitely help for making that connection. And some special appreciations to Ed Graham, who has helped on candidate ops with Rick and myself, the team and the people that have supported the counties across Texas, specifically Debbie Spaulding and Andrew Watson, have been working each week to get things out there. And I got two more people that I definitely want to acknowledge. Stephen Olmsted, that has been helping on ballot access and policy. He and I are kind of partners in crime all through the summer, and he's done a lot of research, a lot of write-ups, and a lot of collaboration on many of our teams. And then lastly, we don't punch time clocks or time cards here at the Texas Forward Party. But my gut tells me if we were going to keep track of hours and who's really grinding away the most, Miss Becky Neely, anytime you need something, she seems to be on. She's always on top of things. So I just want to appreciate her for her tenacity and just always being there. And that type of support and effort has really helped us this year. So those are kind of my list of appreciations. I am really looking forward to 2026 as we kind of step through those stages that Rick had laid out for us. We got 2 minutes. Any other comments, questions, New Year's resolutions that someone wants to share with us? Yeah. Beb. You are on mute. We can't hear you. Catherine says we should be the first choice, not the third party.
Control D on your keyboard will unmute you.
I'm gonna. Yeah. All right. All right. Beb, if you want to type in the chat, we'll read it out loud. Debbie has a resolution, get better grasp on Nation Builder. Absolutely. We've been struggling with that, haven't we, Debbie? I love it. That is asking if we have a platform yet. We've talked about this in a couple different fashions. We do have a policy team that has formed some key principles on policy, but the platform typically is meant to be a set of values that guides candidates to represent their constituents versus a top-down perspective as to all of our candidates need to follow. Now, there are some things here in Texas that we can also provide data and foresight. So that's what our policy team has put together. So on the website right now, I would say our level of a platform is really the policies that we have put out there, and then our candidate pledge and our core values that shape how a candidate should represent their constituents when they run. You bet, Beb. All right. Well, with that, I'm going to call it a wrap for tonight. I really appreciate everyone hopping on tonight. For those that did both national and then hopped on to our town hall, thank you for spending your evening with the Forward Party. It was exciting on both fronts, but it's just great to see all the faces, and I'm super stoked for 2026. So happy holidays. Have a great new year. In the meantime, you need anything, reach out to us, but see you all in 2026. Thanks, everyone.